Hello, welcome back to my channel. I hope you enjoy your stay here or your look around if you're new. My name's Carlene, I'm your host, and if you're a returning subscriber, hello, welcome back. And this video is on a message for your week ahead. And so my guides gave me a message to talk about for the week ahead. And what they want to speak about was justice and how justice is a thing in our world nowadays. It's very hard to find true justice. And why is that? Why can't we find like it's an unjust world? Nobody promised us that things would be fair in this world or in this life, but some things are so over the top, clearly unjust and unjust, and people choose to do these things knowingly, knowing they're going downhill, knowing they're going on a different level, knowing they're stepping down and not taking the high road and feeling completely justified in doing what they do, knowing they're going to hurt someone and hurt someone badly. Now, we can excuse it or try to excuse it and say, okay, people that hurt others are coming from a place where they're hurt themselves. But nowadays, the educational levels are so high. Plus, all of us have this internal conscience where we kind of know when too much is too much. And this is not about the immediate retort, so somebody says something stupid and somebody responds in kind, or somebody, does a tit for tat or anything like that. I'm speaking of deep, deep, deep injustices, such as children being taken from parents, deep, deep things, right? So I'm not going to dive into too much why they did it, but I will tell you what my guides had me write down. And then we'll do a pick a card reading on what you can do to bring more justice or to stay in the balance of justice in your life. Okay. So they made me write, and I always start off with write because in a past life I was a scribe and I used to write. Injustice is one of the hardest things to work through for a just soul. A just soul will always try to correct the balance. A just soul will always try to perpetuate its frequency because it is just. It can only be what it is. So that's why it's going to try to perpetuate its frequency of being just in the injustice. So inside of the unjust experience or the injustice of others or this consciousness of injustice, a just soul will try to be what it is and just perpetuate justness. And of course, you guys, inside of this consciousness, it's going to be perceived as a little stone or a rock or something that is unwelcome. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about if you're listening to this. Due to the imbalance, the just also have to become unjust to right, which causes damage to the just soul. So they're saying that because it's inside of this consciousness of injustice and the actions, the knowing, all of that, a just soul, in order to survive within that consciousness, is going to have to adapt. Not only are they going to have to adapt, even if a just soul is inside of this and they're thinking, I have to right this wrong or bring justice to the unjust, right? They're going to have to become unjust themselves in order to right the injustice, because of the mindset that it's coming from, because of the consciousness it's coming from. So even if the intention is to bring justice and balance, the actual happening and the events, the choices, the actions that are being taken are going to have to be unjust in order to bring justice to injustice. So due to the unjust, this causes damage, which causes damage to the just soul and strengthens the injustice. So even if there's a justice that occurs as a result of the just soul being unjust in order to create right the wrong and right the balance, and I'll give you some examples. Every change that occurs as a result of injustice, even if it's just, even if it is just, it strengthens injustice as the just inevitably become unjust to keep being just. So an example of that we can see in our own justice system, right? So we have laws, we have regulations and rules, which may have started off from a really innocuous, just place, wanting equality, wanting fairness, but how it's now actually being practiced and how it's working out, it shows up in a very unjust way because that intention of justice was harbored within the consciousness of injustice. So they, instead of thinking about true justice, which is a being, not a doing or a seeking, they tried to find ways to balance the injustices that people were experiencing, but ended up becoming unjust themselves. We can also see this, for example, with let's say you're in a domestic abuse situation, right? And so you're going to have to do some things that may not be on the straight and narrow in order to get out of that situation. So bring justice to that. But exactly having to do that and having to be in that consciousness to do that is going to cause damage to a just soul. So justice does not equal equality. Justice requires situational awareness, which is growing in the human collective as this generation is much more aware of contributing factors. So this generation, as we know, they're clearly the most educated, although there are studies, but I'm not going to get into that. But there are, in comparison to previous generations, about contributing factors to certain socioeconomic or personal situations that cause people to become how they are. So the scope is broadening where we're realizing it's our society, it's our culture, it's our ancestors, all the contributing streams of consciousness that cause us to be who we are and live how we are. So that is growing in the collective. And so as we move forward with this, actually our world is going to become a more just place. Unfortunately, as harsh as this sounds, they continue, the just cannot concern themselves with injustice and should ignore it and focus on strengthening and maintaining justice. This does not mean doing nothing or ignoring the results or the suffering of those that have experienced injustice. But what you do is essential. Do not seek justice. They're trying to shape consciousness here. They're not trying to say, don't do anything. So you're walking by and you're seeing someone who needs food or who needs a hand up or something like that. It doesn't mean to ignore them because you're ignoring injustice. It is meaning don't get into fights that are not yours, that you can't win. It is meaning do not seek justice. You have to become it. So instead of seeking to, because at the end they're going to write, or they wrote that injustice has to adapt to justice. This is why justice has to stay strong, and injustice will eventually adapt to justice instead of justice adapting to injustice. So we're kind of living in this backwards, upside down world. And we see it, for example, every time we fly, right? Where there's a huge concern about a minimal part of the population that would cause some kind of thing. And because of that minimal possibility of injustice, the entire other just souls have to adapt to that. And that causes imbalances. Whereas if it were the other way around, where justice would just maintain itself, then eventually in a strong way, then eventually everything that is unjust would adapt to that. It would be a much more just society. So we should not seek justice. We should not seek to revenge. We should not seek to balance an injustice. We should seek to maintain the justice that is within us. We see that as well with, for example, people that have gone through hard childhoods, right? So if they go bitter because they're seeking justice for what occurred, then that is what damages their souls. And that is what's going to cause them to fall into a state of being unjust themselves. But if they're able to maintain that purity within themselves, maintain that essence within themselves, maintain their innocence, maintain their sense of right and wrong and what is just, and maintain that without having to seek justice, then they're able to really bring that injustice in as well and allow that to actually change towards something better. I know And that's the thing, you have to just be just. And so, in that case, not to focus on the injustice that is happening, but focusing on alleviating suffering, focusing on helping your fellow person, focusing on being just, continuing to focus on the positive, focus on what you can do, and don't fall into the trap of becoming unjust, trying to be just. I hope that made sense. I know it's a concept that many of you already are aware of and have thought about. So for your week ahead message, let's dive in and see what can you do if there's an injustice in your experience and it's eating you alive and you're feeling, this isn't fair, or there's something that you weren't able to work through possibly. Okay, let's have a look and see what you must do. And there are three cards, three piles that I'm going to be speaking to. So just close your eyes, take a deep breath in and out and in and out. And I hope you're able to choose a number. If you need to pause the video here, please don't hesitate. You can always continue when you feel ready. So those of you that chose number one, let's see what's coming up for you and what you can do for injustice. Those of you that chose number one, there may have been some kind of financial injustice that was done to you. I feel like there's a financial injustice that is eating you alive, that is eating you up. Okay. This could be that someone didn't pay you what you were owed. This could have been someone taking your money and utilizing it for their own gain, or your inheritance, or your what was yours, something that was belonging to you that you felt you had. And I'm using the word had, not something that you are, but something that you had. And it feels like either this is being blocked from you, or resisted to you, something, or maybe it's an idea that you had, but something was taken or stolen from you, and you experienced that as a great injustice. There are a lot of thoughts that are going around and around and around for you, a lot of thinking around this topic, but it really feels as if something that you owned, that you possessed, is you feel was wrongly taken away from you. Okay, so what can you do? What can they do to maintain justice, to stay in justice, please? And we've got meetings. Okay, this is meetings. So to me, this card looks like a bunch of friends meeting, right? So this is giving me the impression you have to be really mindful and think really deeply about the type of people that you're connecting with and to. Okay, somebody took something from you. And again, I'm picking up this feeling. It might have been intellectual property. It might have been that they are trying to take something that, is you shine with in some way, shape, or form, but it could also literally mean money. I feel, of course, this person is close to you, otherwise they wouldn't have gotten to it, because there's no fight in this. There's no, yeah, there's no one fighting for what you have in that sense. They just came in and took it. And it could even be that you gave it to them. It could be that you gave it to them because you wanted to do right by them. You wanted to be the good person. You wanted to be the higher person, what have you. But it feels like it's possible that you actually even gave it to them and they just took you for granted. They took it for granted what you were giving to them. So what would really help you is being able to talk it out, because when you talk it out, you're able to see what actually happened. You're able to see how that affected you and how you feel, and you're able to shift it. You're able to reconstruct the story for yourself so that it's more digestible for you. So I do feel though that somebody's arrogance as well, that somebody's arrogance, it could also mean that they took your self-confidence and your self-esteem, whatever happened. They took something that belonged to you, okay? And in a very arrogant, entitled, snobby kind of way. Let's see here. Um, Sad news. Interesting. Something not quite going your way. Something not quite going your way in regards to this topic and situation. It's almost like you were so disappointed because things didn't work out for you, not the way you'd hoped. You had hoped for justice towards this person that took something from you, and it kept you in a mind cage for a long time. You kept thinking about it for a long time. You weren't able to expand yourself for a long time. You weren't able to, yeah, do things for a long time. So it's time to get out of that cage. It's time to release that feeling of seeking justice over these people or this person, or not accepting what happened. And I feel like a big part of healing is to first accept that this happened. So if you're experiencing something traumatizing, the first thing is to accept that it happened. I really learned the importance of that, even though it sounds so cliche and so simplistic, when there was a fire in my house once, and the fire truck came, and the firefighter said to me, because I was so shocked, I was still saying, like, I can't believe this is happening. Like, oh my God, I was totally shocked. And the first thing he did was he put his hand on my shoulder, and he looked me right in the eyes, and he was absolutely calm. He was absolutely strong. And I feel like there's such a way of dealing with people in these situations, in shocking situations and traumatizing situations, that changes the imprint of what would actually be something that would be experienced as an injustice or a trauma. And he did that for me because I wasn't traumatized from this. And he said, the first thing he said was, this is happening. It is happening. There is a fire in the house. It's burning, and you will get through this. And that's exactly what happened, right? And we got through it. We had to replace the ceiling in the house, unfortunately, because yeah, long story, but it burnt through some water pipes, and the water started hosing down. So we had to take the ceiling out, replace it, but it was all good by the end, and all okay. But it's yeah, yeah, that really helped, having that, to be able to ground into truth and to accept that this was happening, to accept that this is what was really going on. And I feel this is what's happening for you. Number one is that part of what's holding you back from being able to maintain that justice within yourself, maintain that balance within yourself, maintain that um realization that yes, this is unjust, and to simply accept that, is you haven't accepted it. There's still this loop inside of you going, but this shouldn't have happened. That's not the way it was supposed to be. That's not what this person promised they would do for me. This is not what was supposed to go down. I was supposed to receive this. And while this all may be true, that is not what happened. So the first thing I feel that you still need to do is to ground yourself in the reality of, this is what happened. This is exactly what happened. And this doesn't mean, because I don't feel like I walked away from that situation a victim, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't see it like that. I didn't start the fire, by the way. I'm not a fire starter. But it's there's something about that when you feel like you've been overtaken by the injustice, right? And your just soul has been brought out of balance. That's when you fall into this feeling of, I was victimized. I'm a victim here. But if you're able to accept that this injustice happened, for some reason, you're still with yourself. You don't leave yourself, and you don't feel as victimized. You may still feel angry, of course. You may still feel shocked, of course. You may still feel all these things, but for some reason, it changes the whole dynamic. Okay, so I feel like there's something going on there around accepting what happened, that a part of you still can't accept what happened, and you need to do that. From some of you, it's the depth of the betrayal. This may be a betrayal that occurred for you. This may have been someone that was very close to you that you didn't expect this from, and you weren't expecting this to happen this way. So it feels like your first step, number one, is to really do the first step and accept that this is what happened, that this is the way it was. This actually went down, and not in a way that is sensationalist or anything like that, but very grounded, very grass is green, sky is blue. This is what happened. Facts. Okay. And then take your next step from there, right? Because then you'll realize that what happened is not a definition of you, has nothing to do with you, is not a part of you, and you don't need to fix it. You don't need to balance it out. This is not your story. This is what happened, yeah, but it's not your thing to fix necessarily, okay? And of course, it depends on, and that being said, it depends on what kind of injustice you're going to have to go through, because some injustices you can't get away from. I'm absolutely clear about that, but it feels as if you're trying to fight the existence of it at all. And that you can't do. That is a fight you will not win. Okay. But what you will win is maintaining your sense of justice, maintaining your balance, maintaining your truth, maintaining showing what justness looks like next to that injustice. And people will see it from the outside. They will see that was right, this is wrong. I want to be, aligned to this. So you kind of serve as a stark example in the consciousness or next to the consciousness of injustice. Okay. All right. I hope that helps. And of course, if you would like a personal session with me, to help with your grief, to help with your working through difficult, tough situations, do not hesitate to reach out to me. You'll find my information in the description box below this video. Those of you that chose number 2, what's coming up for you when it comes to justice and maintaining your sense of justice and justness in an imbalanced world? What's coming up for you? So you guys are, there's this sense of, because what came up for me is this card, and this has to do with contracts and agreements. So those of you that chose number 2, it could be that there was a contract or an agreement that wasn't kept. I'm not feeling a very, I wouldn't go so far. Maybe trust was broken, that kind of thing. I almost had it. There was something, was it? There, trust and agreement, trust and, but also being tied into unjust agreements, tied into unjust contracts that you weren't able to do anything else about. This is what it was. This could be like a work contract or something like that, or a rental contract. And it was just, there was something just so ended up becoming unjust about it, or ended up being something that was used in an unjust way against you. But it feels as if your weak spot has to do with trust and has to do with yeah, feeling it kind of, ooh, there's so much to say to this, and I'm trying to, it feels as if there's this I can't trust anyone or anything anymore. You may be the type to like really read through every little detail and every little fine print, because you didn't do that before and you signed something or went in on something that didn't work out for you at all. It also feels a little bit like entrapment, like being trapped in this is past life. Oh my gosh, this is why I'm like, this has roots in a past life where I feel, number 2, you may have been trapped in some kind of an agreement, okay? Trapped in some kind of an agreement that didn't work out for you at all. And you've taken that with you into this life. Some of you have experienced that in this life, some kind of an agreement, rental contract, business, work, signing with friends for something, but it feels as if some kind of an injustice happened as a result of your trust and faith in other people. So this is not a system thing, like some people feel an injustice from the system or things like that. But for you, it feels like it's directly tied to your relationships with other people. And That's a very tough thing to go through. That's a very, very tough thing to go through. Because your closest people are the ones that you can't trust and where the deepest injustices come to you from. So this could be family, right off the bat, family, and of course friends, but also your partners, especially your partners. Okay, let's see what you can do for this. What can you do to heal this experience of injustice for your just soul, those that chose number 2? What can they do to heal this injustice? Ooh, okay. You've probably tried to heal it by becoming successful. So you're not one of those that are trying to look for revenge by getting even. You're trying to get one up, one up. You're trying to one up and get one over on them. And it feels as if there's a decision, you get hit with that because you get hit with moral decisions because you get to a point or you get to a situation where you are in danger of becoming unjust or just as unjust as they are because your morals and your principles are being tested. How far do you want to go? What is it that you want to do to really get one up on them? So this is a person who would be like tempted to, for example, if you were cheated on, then you would be tempted. I'm not saying you're going to do it, but the temptation would be to return the favor with someone close to the person that was close to you. So there's this moral dilemma or moral decision that keeps coming up for you around the topic of justice and injustice and how to get even, or in your case, not get even, but get one up again. So the thing for you, I feel, is that you can pour all this energy of your justness into your work, into your career, into making something out of your life. Really finding ways to show your value, to show what you're about, to show your true essence, to show your talents and your gifts, to really showcase yourself in the best light possible. And because that will naturally one up anybody because nobody can be you. And that will naturally put you on a higher level because your energy is clear and clean and you're still in the justness because nobody can be you. Nobody. Who's going to top you when you're on top of you? Nobody, right? And at the same time, you will have been creating lasting value for your own life. So it's almost what I'm seeing here is here, this is small wins. So this is the moral thing, are you going to go for the little win? Don't become petty because that's the thing. Like number ones, they would become bitter, right? But you guys become petty. And so don't become petty. Don't go for the little wins, but utilize, what you have to build yourself up, to put yourself up there, right? To make the best of what you have and to make a better life for yourself. Okay. And we see here the decision, and you have the decision of either going this way or that way, either following your base desires or following your higher self or whatever else you want to call these two decisions. But you have the decision what to do. The decision is literally in your hands. You have the power. So whereas with pile number one, I would say like these people are tending more to feel victimized by something, right? With you, it's this powerlessness game, this power game between yourself and other people that you can get into to try to maintain justice, to try to maintain goodness, is for you to maintain the power of decision, right? Which can turn you into being unjust or being a tyrant or a manipulator. Okay. So it's really important for you to focus simply on making your life the best life that you can make for yourself and to really showcase your gifts, showcase your talents, become the best you that you can become, level up, be the best person that you can be, because nobody can top who you are when you're on top of yourself. Don't become petty. Don't even try to go for the little wins. Don't even let yourself be tempted to do that. Okay, it's not going to work out for you. This is what takes your just soul into the injustice in the realm and the experience of being unjust. So you really have to learn to let things go. And this is where we see here, right? These two hands together and they're holding on. You have to learn to let go and walk away. And whatever this other side is doing has nothing to do with you. It doesn't define you. It doesn't show who you are. You are going to show who you are. You are going to show who you are. You are going to create the true you. You're going to put yourself out there, a life. You're going to create a life. You're going to show the true you within the life that you create. You're going to create a space where only those are allowed in that truly value you. Okay. And the spirit is saying the choice is yours. It's not anybody else's. And you may be tempted to say, I'm powerless in this situation and it's somebody else's choice. They chose to treat me like that. That's why I'm treating them like this. But that's the petty, and that makes you small. That keeps you small. So don't do that. The choice is with you. Take your power. Whatever they did, the choice was with them on what they did. But what you do, the choice is with you. Okay, so number twos, I would really advise you to let go. Learn to let go. This is an opportunity and a lesson in learning to let go and learning to release. So you can thank them and say, you guys were great teachers because this was the hardest lesson, the best exam. Boy, I know now what I'm capable of, and walk away, right? Focus on your life, build yourself up, showcase your gifts, your talents, your abilities, your beauty, your strength, your intellect, your wit, your charisma, and you'll see they won't be able to keep up because they're not focused on that for themselves. That's why they're doing what they're doing to you and other people. Okay. So look how she has her head up, right? And sure, if you're going for the petty wins, then you could see this as arrogance, but she has a really dreamy look on her face. So it's like she's looking up the high road. She's taking the high road here, right? So don't look down, look up. Don't look at the petty small wins. Okay? You got this. All righty. So moving on to those of you that chose number 3, how can you maintain justice in your life? How can you maintain justice in your life? And pile number 3. Pile number 3. Oh, wow. Okay. Pile number 3, you people, you may be feeling like there's something that's weighing on your shoulders, some kind of guilt, some kind of feeling like it's my fault. I was the unjust one in this situation. I was the one that caused this. I was the one that created this. Even though you might not even be thinking it on your conscious level, on your feeling level, there's some kind of owning a situation or the responsibility over a situation that is there, or you're thinking like, it could have been me, right? So some kind of self-doubt that is going on here. This may have been in regards to some people or a person that actually did right by you. You may be feeling as if you're not as good as the other people around you. And not only not as good in the sense of more in the sense of a moral dilemma. I'm not as good as the other people around me. And so you feel that in this whole injustice, you're like, oh, it's me, guys. It's me here. And you may have been taught to feel this way as well. So it's not necessarily the factual truth. I'm just describing the inner emotional world that I'm picking up on, that some of you are feeling like I was the unjust one. It was me. It was my fault. And I'm feeling this is coming out of your home or your childhood upbringing. So some of you may have been scapegoated. Some of you may have been harshly punished. But some of you may actually be you may have been unjust in a way of defending yourself or walling yourself off. So there's a desire now, a desire now to bring balance. There's something that you feel you need to right or make right from your past. Okay. And this is again on the feeling emotional level. So some of you may be saying, oh no, like who, me? Like, of course, yeah, but I didn't do anything. Aside from that, okay, on the feeling level, this is what I'm picking up on for number threes. Is they seem to be feeling like, oh yeah, I need to right a wrong here. Okay. How do I become just? What do pile number threes need to know about justice? What do they need to know about justice, please? Wow, okay. In addition to some of you number threes, somebody tried to steal something very valuable from you. Your pride, your strength, your inner value, your life force energy, even. Okay. Some of you have had that. And where people wished that you would find an exit in some way, shape, or form. Like the anger was so great. Some of you are continually dealing with people that are not right for you, that don't have the best intentions for you, that are not seeing you in the right light and are unconcerned about it, that don't know how you have what you have. A lot of jealousy around you. You may have grown up with jealousy as well. Some of you had a jealous mother and a jealous situation, or you have a jealous mother-in-law. Okay. But that is there's some kind of a when it comes to that, and for whatever reason, you've decided because you're the bigger person or you're the higher person that you're going to take it on. Like, no. You can clear that out of your emotional field. You don't need to take on the fault for someone else acting in an unjust way, okay? Or an unjust way. That's what I'm picking up. So you pile number three is feeling the fault for others acting in an unjust way because you bought the story that it was your actions or how you showed up or how you looked that caused them to behave the way they behaved. I, but it's not that. It's not that. They have the choice. They have the choice. So what do you need to know? You needed to know that they were jealous because you feel like such a pure soul that you can't even fathom. Like it may have crossed your mind, this was jealousy that caused them to act out, but you don't really want to believe that, you really want to believe the best of other people, and you don't want to think negatively of other people and project onto them your own issues. So you decide that I need to deal with my issues, and by saying that and thinking that, you're actually taking on their issues and making them your own when it has nothing to do with you. They were just jealous. Okay, so what you need to do or what you need to know is you need to be happy. You need to be happy. You need to live your best life. You need to cut these people out completely. You need to tabula rasa and start over. Start over completely. This is small child, which means new beginnings, right? You need to start over completely. You need to cut all these people completely out of your life. You need to walk away from this. You need to think of yourself like I'm a hibiscus and this is the desert and I am not going to thrive here. I can't live here. I'm not going to thrive here. I'm not going to get the water I need to survive. So I need to leave. I need to think of my survival. You need to watch documentary movies, you know, watch National Geographic and see how the animals move. They leave places where they're not being fed, their needs are not being met. They will leave that place and go to another place where they will find that their needs are being met. So it's time for you to start doing that. It's time for you to start realizing that it's okay to walk away and move somewhere else, live somewhere else, start a whole new fresh life, and not to be afraid that you're not going to find anybody or that people are going to treat you the same way, because you might run into people that treat you the same way because you haven't changed your habits of running around and looking for people that will say, here, take my stuff. And you're going to be like, okay, I'll take it. You have to say, no, you know what? That's yours. I'm leaving it with you. And I'll go my merry way. Find somebody else and dump it on because you have been dumped on. You have absolutely been dumped on. And it's time for you to live your best life. Be absolutely happy. This is total bliss and happiness. And live your best life, right? Travel. This is traveling, moving, traveling. And it's time to move on from it. It's time to start fresh. It's time not to engage with these people or things anymore. Don't try to make sense of it. There's a part of you that is trying to make sense of what happened to you, and it defies all sense. It will not make sense. You are going to bretzel your brain trying to explain why other people do what they do. You can't do it. Can't. It's a waste of your life force energy. It's a waste of the gift of your life. You need to go be happy. And so go be happy, walk away, leave them with their stuff, and show, because you're living a better life, because you're living your best life, you're showing, because they're still going to be miserable. They're still going to be trapped in their misery because they haven't changed anything. They're just going to find somebody new to dump it on. So when you walk away and you're living your best life and you're making things happen and you're meeting different people, new people, creating new things, they're going to be seeing that. And mind you, because it always happens, they're going to come back around to you. And then it's your choice either to let them back in your life in a safe zone or to say, no, you can continue staying out of it because you've realized that they don't make your life. They're not who you need to make your life. You're who makes your life. You're the one who creates everything, makes everything happen. Your life revolves around you, and not in a selfish way. But these people, they come onto the scene and they flow out again. And you will always find other people to connect with, but you're going to be more aware of how these connections work. And if this is a balanced, just, fair exchange of energies, or if you end on being their garbage truck, right? So I really feel like Spirit's saying it's been a while, like for some of you, you've been hesitating for too long. You've got to now make a cut and move on with your life, right? Be happy. Be happy. That's the best way to get justice into the situation of unjust. And the universe is willing to make you happy. That's why the card popped up. Like your happiness is out there waiting for you. Your happiness is something that all you have to do is step into it. You're allowed to be happy. You don't need anyone's permission to be happy. For the longest time, I totally get that, because for the longest time, I was living in a space when I was way younger where I still, in the back of my mind, on some level, needed permission from others to be happy. I needed a reason to be happy. Oh, you did great work. Oh, great. I'm allowed to be happy. Or we really love you, or really like you. Oh, great. I'm allowed to be happy. People don't need all that. I don't need all that. You don't need all that. Nobody needs that, right? You are allowed to be happy, just being happy, just for being alive. There's nothing you have to do or be even. And you just are, and it's your birthright. So go be happy. Allow yourself to be happy. Be happy at the little things in life. Be happy with the butterflies and the clouds and all of that. And live your best life, because that is literally, honestly, for people like you that this has happened to, that is your best revenge, because they will see that they weren't able to sully you with their negative toxic energy that they don't know how to cleanse, clear, or get rid of or work through. and they're unwilling to find out how to do it. So they're just trying to dump it. And they're seeing they can't leave it with you because you're radiating, you're shining, you're living your best life, you're doing great. And they're still feeling that energy with them, even more so because you're not taking it on. And back when you were taking it on, they were feeling great, right? They were able to get it off somewhere, you know? So go be happy and leave them to themselves. They are their own. That is the best revenge that you could take. And you stay in your just energy. You stay in your energy of knowing what's right and what's wrong and who's right for you and who's wrong for you, and being able to clearly discern. Because if you start becoming like them and trying to give back the energy that they're trying to dump on you, then you're acknowledging even more that you've taken that energy on. You're acknowledging that you possess that energy. So if you refuse to acknowledge that you possess that energy, then you don't. You absolutely don't. You didn't take it on. So by fighting them, by trying to give it back to them, you're actually giving them right. You're telling them you're right. The energy is with me. You're right. And that is absolutely not right, you know? So drop the ball, walk away, and do not play this ping pong anymore, and just really focus on being happy, experiencing happiness, letting joy lead you through life, learning through joy, following your joy, allowing your body to experience joy, your nervous system to experience joy, you giving yourself the permission by way of your existence and being happy, and you'll see how it all rights itself. But if you try to find justice by giving them back what they're giving to you, then you agree that you're sullied too, and that you carry that toxic energy. Okay. You guys, thank you for listening. And if you would like to book a session with me around your own personal topics, I'm so happy to work with you. My link is in the description box below this video, and I've got a spring sale going on for those of you that are first timers here. Check, this is the perfect opportunity for you to get to know my work and get to know me. And I'll put some testimonials in the description box as well. But you can get right now this percentage off that you're going to see in the description box below this video when you enter in the code to book any session with me. Okay? Take care. Bye.